Okay, it is 5 p.m. on August 7th, 2024. I'd like to bring this work session meeting to order. Candace, would you please do the roll call?
I sure will. Councilmember Norfelt,
Here.
Councilmember Stevens.
There.
Mayor Scott.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Perry
Here.
and Councilmember Hill.
Thank you. Fraud risk assessment preview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm expecting a show
I
here.
think it says review.
Oh, review.
Preview is like a little thing.
Gentlemen, do you have slides for this?
And a video. And he's gonna do sock puppets up here.
You brought Sherry Lewis and what was her
Well, that's, now you're really dating lamb chops.
Chop chop, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm an old soul, Margie. I know things from back in the day.
Okay, who's gonna do this?
I'll take care of it. Sean, are you or?
Are we talking about it right now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Skipping number one and going right to number three.
Well, okay, wait a minute. I am getting ahead of myself.
John, that was the preview.
I'm glad we're good spirits tonight.
All right, just a second, John. Sorry, I better put on my glasses. We're gonna do department reports and we'll start with Michael over there. You get like 1 minute.
1 minute, okay. Big updates for the library. Security cameras are being installed next week, next Wednesday and Thursday. Power is gonna run the cable for us to save some money. And then we'll work with the police and Marlin to get it all set up and the cameras angled to the way we want them, so we capture what we want to capture there. I'm working on an RFP for the new doors that were approved. And we'll be replacing the front doors and the emergency exit door. It's down on the second or basement floor,
Those are the only doors besides the elevators.
besides the elevator one. The only change that I can see with the elevator door is making it weighted better, so it automatically closes behind people. We've had a lot of patrons ignoring the sign, saying to close the door behind them, so.
Or a strong magnet or.
Yeah, something to just help it close, so to help protect the elevator from the elements. And then summer reading is at an end. We had really good participation. Our last big event was Harry Potter's birthday. We had 120 individuals show up to that.
Wow.
And then we have our pool party tomorrow to celebrate everyone who accomplished it. And it was a lot of fun. We've gotten a lot of great feedback for the different activities. So we're looking forward to next year, and also we're going to be doing a mini winter reading program, just to kind of keep kids excited about coming to the library and help them, encourage them to read throughout the year, not just during the summer. And then last, we are going to be closing one Saturday in September, just so we can rearrange the top floor to better serve patrons, have all the nonfiction over by the local collection, so it just flows better. So that's it for the library.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Well, there we go. We've had a lot of things happening in the police department. We have 2 new hires. First is Chancey Frisbee. She comes from Wasatch County. You guys will get to meet her officially next council meeting. Decided to wait till it wasn't such a heavy agenda to do the swearing in. She comes with 11 years experience there. She had
She was a detective with him. She's an SRO, so we're really excited to have her. Burlington Williamson, some of you may know him because he has his roots in Ephraim. So he came to us from Springville with 5 years experience. We're excited to have him. I think he's going to do great stuff. We did have a win with the school district. So the district, we came to an agreement that they'll pay 50% of salary and benefits for the 9 months for a full-time school resource officer. So we're moving on that. I met with the principals today, just working out some logistics. We are behind the curve because we just got the go ahead last week, end of last week.
Yeah. You forgot the best part of that, though.
What's that?
The other half of that, it's not only is the school district paying 50% of the SRO for us for both schools, but they're not going to bill us for Manti's SRO.
Correct. So we were able to work that out today. You get that fixed. Nice work. So
So that'll be deputy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so
two schools here.
so the county sheriff will take care of Manti High and Manti Elementary. Ephraim PD takes care of Ephraim Middle and Ephraim Elementary, and everybody gets a full-time officer.
So, do you know who our SRO officer will be?
I do. I just figured that out today after meeting with the principals.
Okay,
So,
so probably hasn't been announced. You can't.
well, I've offered and it's accepted. So Jesse Jones offered the position. Jesse Jones has accepted. The principals would like to meet him, but just preliminary, they were like, yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay.
So, like I said, there's a delay there because we have to backfill this position. So we do have an open recruitment. And he won't be able to be in the schools full time until we fill that position. So as he's patrolling on day shift, he's gonna be there as much as he can, calls allowed, but just kind of going with the school resource stuff. We won't be able, unfortunately, we won't be able to offer any DARE programs this year because of, did we miss the trainings? They typically hold DARE trainings in the summer and those are all since passed.
Chief, is there some sort of online training that we can get them in quick to, just so we don't lose that?
Not that I'm aware of, because the DARE training, to my knowledge, is a week long. It's very comprehensive. So I was talking to the two principals about it. There is some possibilities. I thought about maybe reaching out to Officer McQuivy and seeing he would be available and willing, and Chief Gray to help us still have a DARE program just for this year. But I haven't talked to him yet.
Could it also, could we also maybe borrow the North Sandspeed's person or?
And that's where we went was no.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And the high school, I think, is going the direction of Nova, which you have Nova and DARE, 2 different programs. So I'm not sure what their thoughts are on whether they want to start a Nova program like the DARE, or if we're going to transition to Nova. Same like meat and potatoes, just different names. So. We conducted promotions to backfill Sergeant Krebs' position because he is now in Costa Rica, living a good life.
On the beach?
I hope. So, we had our testing process and Justin Agard, test number 1. So he's been offered the sergeant position. So Justin Agard will be
Back.
another patrol sergeant. Yeah, I think that's it for me, unless you guys have any questions for me and concerns.
The first 2 department reports saved us money, so hopefully Chief Hermanson has good news too.
No pressure.
Thanks, Cole.
Okay, thank you. Chief Hermanson.
We're still working on inspections. We're up to 167 done for the year.
Wow.
We've got some more scheduled. Fire calls were 48, which is about what we were last year. Had to send 1 engine to Salt Lake. We blew a pump out after the seal out of the pump after the home fire over west. So,
Got a nice picture of it. In Salt Lake,
well,
by a resident wanting to know why it was up there.
we got a big coverage area, so.
I told them they were called out on fire.
I got 5 new people on the fire department now, 4 guys and a lady, so they're all seem to be doing good, so.
Who are they?
Kyler Crane, Jesse Ray, Scott Chamberlain, Cassandra Zavalia, and mine just went blank on the other one,
That's okay.
but so they're all living here. Isaac Olson, the one that gets to put the pie in the mayor's face, so. Or Sean's, whichever one wants it, so, other than that, that's it. Things are going good, so. The state's put a ban on sending fire trucks out of the state because they're worried about protecting everything in the state, so.
But you can still help within the state if need.
So it's not looking good the way the weather and the red flag conditions have been going, so. Sevier County's had several more big fires stored up, so. Hopefully we'll be good, so.
So there's no Utah units fighting the California fire.
Nope. And there's a big controversy over it because some of these departments rely on that money to keep them going, but number one thing is to protect the state, not California, so. Okay.
Thank you. Jeff Jensen.
Good evening. Sometime afternoon, evening, whichever it is.
Kind of gray area.
Kind of gray area. Let's talk about water for a little bit. Not trying to paint a doom and gloom picture. I'm just trying to give you facts of what's going on with the water system, just to kind of keep you guys up to date. We've been running a well every night since July 11th. We were able to keep up with the demand with well number 2 till about the 30th. We've had to switch to the big well. We run it every night from about 9 to 9 in the morning, so about 12 hours. Right now, the springs are putting out still 2.3 million gallons a day. But on average, we use about 3 million gallons a day. So that's 700,000 gallons short a day, which is significant. So if you think about it, you know, that's 3-4 water tanks a day that we're going through. So we do have a lot of sources, and I'm grateful for the sources that we have, but we just really need to, you know, talk conservation and help people understand that we still do live in the desert, and we need to try to conserve where we can. Before we ask anybody, you know, to cut down 20% or whatever on that shit, to do that on city property where we can. Canyon View's already kind of taking a beating from the heat. Just can't keep up with it up there.
Well, they play soccer there in that
Yeah.
bowl constantly at
Yeah,
night.
and the amphitheater with that facing the way it is, it just like that sun just beats that thing.
Mayor, have we got an official in the newsletter or otherwise? Just water,
Not this year.
not this year, because I know we have in the past, and I don't know if it made a difference.
I think it did.
It always makes a difference.
And just for context, so in the month of July, we used 89.5 million gallons. That's all of our combined sources, Canyon River tanks, that's everything coming from the distribution system.
So that's 3 million a day, 89.
Average about 3 million a day. And for anybody that wants it, that's the SCADA system report of the combined flows, if you actually want to see it on paper, what we have today. So
Is it too late to ration? Take a month of August,
We
September?
don't need to ration. Yeah, we do need to, whenever you use the word ration, you create a panic.
yeah, and we're, you know, we're all right. You know, running the wells, especially the bigger wells, they do cost money. You know, you don't want to cut down the revenue on the water, but it also costs money to run power, so.
They're pretty well able to keep up with the demand. By morning, they're filled back up.
So far, yeah, so far, I don't know, about 9 o'clock, but springs are gonna continue to die off, and I think as long as it stays hot and dry, the usage will just kind of level out. So
Unless we get rain and then that'll
yeah,
make a
it's
huge.
gonna be more of a deficit, clear into probably September if it stays hot and dry like it is. But we're planning on doing a pump test on the new well, hopefully the first part of next week, so we can get that going and hopefully get a little more credit as far as the Vision Drinking Water is concerned on our source capacity.
So the wells that are running is the old number one
Number one.
and number two.
Number two. I did run number three on Monday just to take samples. They've got the T down there dug up and stuff ready to go for construction, so I'm not comfortable running it while we're down there working on it.
Right.
So, but hopefully that'll bring good news. But, yeah, I think we're doing good. It's just, you're making me squeak.
You're making yourself.
Is that you? But anyway, we're doing good, but the people just need to be, just like you guys to know where we're at as far as that. So, there's a lot going on, but I won't take any more time. I'm short tonight. So, if anybody has any questions or wants to talk to me one-on-one about any of it, get any more information, I'd be happy to do that. So,
Thank you.
thanks.
Cory? Oh, I thought you were bringing up a box of Kleenex.
A box of chocolates.
I was hoping for the box of chocolate.
Well, it's a little cooler than that, I think. It's actually the award we got in Denver.
Oh,
I want to present it to you guys, Mayor and Council. It's like I told Sean this, it's quite an honor. There was 4 of us that were inducted into the Hydro Hall of Fame. And the other 3 that were inducted were big generation facilities, like 60 megawatts, 45 megawatts. The other one was out of Germany, which was a huge power plant. It was built in 1904, I believe. And so ours was just a tiny little generating plant that we got inducted into the Hall of Fame for those. I'll just pass this around, and I think that we can put it in the city hall and.
Yeah.
So.
I think what's cool is that they've got this down to where it kind of has this blue tint to it.
Yeah.
Almost like a water.
hydro.
Clear water, yeah, clear vision, yeah. It was a great conference. It was really good to see a lot of different things, a lot of different ways that people use as far as, bearings and things that way, and a lot of things I learned, some contacts that if we do have any issues with our hydro, I have those contacts now. So that was really good to go to that. I'd like to go again next year, just because of that, and learn a little more about the hydro side and what other people have experienced and whatnot that way. So.
Did our hydro plant, is it pretty well done for the summer on the water coming out of the canyon?
So yeah, our big unit, which is unit 1, it's not generating any power. We've got all the water shifted over to our old hydro. And it's putting out about 170, 180 kW, which is about 6,000 kilowatt hours a day. I was telling a few of you the other day when you come up, I think that's equivalent, an average home uses about 40 kilowatt hours a day. So, it's offset a little bit, but it's been so darn hot that a lot of our loads really increased the last few weeks. That brings up we peaked at 93.15, so 9,315 kW. That was today at 3 o'clock. Today was the peak. I've been kind of watching it closely, and I just did some yearly things, and so in 23 we peaked at 81.16. And that was August 15th. 2022, we peaked at 91.83. That was August 31st. August 13th of 21, we peaked at 83.04. August 26th of 2020, we peaked at 91.89. August 16th of 2019, we peaked at 83.66. So as you can see, it's really weather dependent on a lot of our peaks because of the hot weather.
We had, we probably had a cooler year in 2019 in August. 2021 might have been a little cooler year, and so was last year, obviously, with the lower 8100 kW peak. So it's really weather dependent, and obviously if we can get conservation in place, maybe open your windows at night, don't run your AC all day long, and things like that. Set your thermostats a little higher, and during the day, I know it's uncomfortable. I mean, even 78 degrees in your home is hot. It feels like, but it's bearable. It's not like it's 100 in your house. So anyway.
Corey, how much is the power that we're buying? Is it held pretty good, or we're not taking it like we were?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So we're actually having to buy a little bit of power off the market it's called super peak. And that is from about 2 o'clock till about 9 o'clock. And those prices have been between $160 and $190 a megawatt hour, which, on average, we're about $70 a megawatt hour. So we've had to purchase, power, for those hours. UM's been really good to look forward day ahead and buy that power. But yeah, it's a little more money, but it looks like the market's starting to drop off come September, where that price won't be as high. So, but there's just those few hours that we have to purchase that because, that load is extremely high. And one other note, in July, I believe it was July 11th of 24, UAMPS as a whole, as all the members, they set a new record peak as well for July. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe August isn't going to be close to that as well.
I hope it doesn't hold through September.
Yeah.
One year it did. We just,
You're right. We had that high power bill. for 2 years ago.
yeah.
Yeah, and then they had those issues with that natural gas situation. There on the coast or up in the Oregon area and whatnot, which drove those prices really high. So, yeah, it's looking okay, as far as, but really we're honestly, we're short. So we're short power. It's kind of like water. So if our resources are 5,000 gallons a minute, I'll just kind of put it as that. Water is an example. I don't know if it really pertains to water, but if we have 5,000 gallons a minute coming out, then we have to purchase the 4,000 gallons a minute. That's kind of the kilowatt difference that way. So we have 5,000 kilowatts of resources, but we have to buy 4,000 kilowatt hours of resources during this hot time. Obviously winter time, we're about 5,000. That's our load. So we're not having to buy that. We have the resources to cover it. So that, we've had the conversation of possibly looking into a natural gas facility for Ephraim City as owning that natural gas facility. We're looking at, prices. We're looking at where we want to put that facility. I'll have another meeting August 22nd on that. There's some places that we're kind of thinking about. One is right here by our powerhouse substation, where we have a substation close. That would be our ideal location. We're also looking maybe out by Walmart, possibly by that cemetery sub out there that could possibly be a natural gas generation facility. And it would be about a 2,200 kW, peaking plant. We would run it during those peaking times, or it'd be 6-8 hours a day, or as long as we would cover our resources for that. And in the next few months, maybe we could do a presentation on what Cat Wheeler has showed us with our resources, what that money would look like savings wise if we didn't have to buy off the market. It's kind of interesting. He showed it to me, and it's in the almost $1 million range. So we wouldn't have to buy power off the market.
So how quick would we? That you can tell us that in your presentation, how quick we would pay back that facility.
Yeah, so it
Just
would
on the
be, it
savings.
would be about, I think he mentioned 7 to 12 years, just depending.
That's a
on
pretty short payback.
It really is. And on a $5.5 million facility. So it would be paid off in that 7 to 12 years. It just depends on, what the location. The natural gas line is like $480 a foot. That's astronomical to be, if we was having to, run
A long way.
a long ways for that natural gas. But we're looking into some different scenarios, and I'm gonna make that, decision hopefully. And the other part is, the engine itself is about 18 months out, almost 2 years. So, I'm kind of looked in, we're gonna reach out to Chris, one with UFS, and maybe see if we could maybe bump that, instead of having it in the 5-year plan. Let's look at that 3-year plan and then revisit that 3-year plan and see what those economics look like during that, for that 3 years instead of the 5 years out, where I think we need it sooner than 5 years down the road. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna email you guys this list that I wrote up today, just so you guys can see all the work that we've been doing, what's being planned, what's in the works. I'll just email this because there's a lot here, so I don't want to go over it, but I wanted to hit those highlighted items at the peak and whatnot. So, any questions, concerns? Like Jeff says, reach out to me anytime.
Snow College kids are coming back
Yeah.
soon. If we could get our banners up,
Oh, of course.
Snow College banners.
Yeah, like that down, of course.
I think too, on the peak in all the departments, with the water and the power is, the growth too, you gotta figure each new house
Yeah.
uses, I don't know what the average water is, but and the power, but each one of them's a contribution to this peak, man.
If you figure a new home or a home alone, your average KW is about 3 to 5, just depending on time of year. We've seen some homes that were built down west of town that have geothermal in them, 25 KW peak. And they're like, why is my power bill so high? But they have peak because they have that geothermal that's heating their house and heating their floors and everything. That takes a lot of power. So, it just depends on the situation too. So, yeah. But, okay, good. Thank you.
Jordan. Much better to have myself.
So I'll let Corey know I'm doing my part with the power. I only use my electric toothbrush once a week, so I'm helping out. So, yeah. So I've been here for a while, so if I re-repeat something I've already told you, I apologize. We have officially received a grant, $29,400 from the e-cigarette marijuana and other drug prevention grant. And this will help supplement our community events for the year, as long as we pitch them towards a anti-drug and a venue. So we kind of throw our Christmas part, but also say have like resources for anti-drug for the youth. So we're grateful for that. Fall is we're in kind of like a slow right now. Soccer is about to start next week. Fall volleyball's ramping up, tumbling, flag football. Numbers are kind of low for flag football and volleyball, but we're hoping to boost those up before the deadline. Let's see, as far as parks, there's 2 things. We're working with the DUP on plans to preserve the peach tree. Shane Davis with Public Works, he's kind of having a plan of maybe wrapping it to keep the rot from the inside, just to keep it close together. Anyway, they're kind of in talks about that right now, so I'll keep you posted on that. I don't know if you've ever been to the family park. Well, if you've been to family park recently, that's Snow College's ground. It's looking a little bit rough. We're looking to get that replaced. I've gotten a quote for the bathroom and the playground. The bathroom is definitely rough, but the playground is, yeah, there's another hole in the slide. There's another slide that's got removed. It's kind of where it's getting to the point. It's like, do we put another slide on there? That's a couple $1,000s, or do we just kind of start over? So.
When will the new tables?
So we have those, they just need to be put together and switched out, so it's just hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
No pressure, I was just curious on the timeline.
We're working on getting funding for a new playground toy. The question is, what do we do in the interim, right? Do we shut the whole thing down and disassemble it and not have a playground toy for a while because the current one may not be as safe as it needs to be? Or do we put caution tape that people will tend to ignore and go around and rip down? Or do we do nothing? And that's the where we find ourselves. We think we've got a lead on a couple of grants and maybe some sponsorship opportunities or donation opportunities to get a new toy. Which they run about $100,000.
Yeah, for demolition and removal and, yeah.
We need to catch your electricity for your air conditioning so you can pay for
Right. I'll take one for the team on this one too. I'll start pushing once a month if I need to. But yeah, with rat tax, we're kind of there's gonna be a lot of rat tax this next year. Because Anthony and the board voted to put a lump sum that was set aside for a recreation building back into rat tax, so we can use that for infrastructure like for a playground, but anyways, there's different ways. We got some wiggle room there.
What
but-
we don't, we want to reduce any kind of risk.
Yeah.
As a city, we ought to be risk adverse.
Yeah.
And so if there's any possible way that children or anybody else could get hurt on the play equipment out there, then if that's the case, then it needs to be removed.
It has been so used over the years.
I agree with you. And
Now, we're gonna receive a lot of complaints if you remove it.
yeah, it's true. We can just blame it on Jeff. He would be able to take it down anyways, right? No, yeah, I agree. And I kind of defer to Jeff and Shane's judgment as far as damage, but yeah, it doesn't look good. Have you been there yet, Jeff? Or, yeah, Shane wasn't impressed either, so.
So what I can tell you about risk adverse, Mayor, is in conversations we had with the insurance company. Because it is considered by most insurance companies an attractive nuisance, right? Kids are gonna play on it, it's gonna come. It's not necessarily a nuisance, but that's the insurance term for it. As long as we are showing that we are keeping regular maintenance records and inspecting it regularly, much like we do with our sewer pipes and scoping those, we know where we have trouble spots. Even if we don't repair them right away, liability is not necessarily on us because we can show we know about it and we've got records. Now, that's the technical, legal spot that the insurance company places it. The moral right thing to do is to replace it as soon as possible and not have any danger, as you say. But because we are inspecting it, we are documenting it, we are less subject to potential lawsuits. If that eases your mind a little bit.
If we take it down, maybe we could just put up a sign. Signs tend to kind of help our residents, coming soon.
Yeah.
I got it in.
And the swings are separate from the.
Yeah.
The big toy, so to speak. Could you just leave the swing?
swing fine.
We like those.
We might have an old school merry-go-round or six-story slide that we could throw
Oh,
up there.
wow.
Oh, wow, we had that at Eastern Elementary for a long time.
That's where they're getting.
I've got
Lots of people got thrown off that background. I bet Corey was in it.
It's not put together. It's just sitting in the
I
box.
was one that got thrown off.
And there's no possibility of, in this case, working with snow or enjoying. That's not. the part that we-
They just soon be rid of that, I think.
Yeah, under our new lease agreement, the toy and the park is our responsibility for maintenance and replacement. It does fall under a capital improvements. We could ask them to share a cost with that. But my guess is they'll tell us that, they figured it out. So,
As far as the bathrooms go, that lies on Snow College. They are
Yeah.
locked up right now because of extensive vandalism, so that's where we're at with the bathroom.
Yeah, so it's kind of a little mess or an opportunity, depending on how you look at it, but so that's something we're kind of looking into and yeah.
Sorry, so many questions, but would we ever put cameras at the bathroom facilities at either park?
You can't put them in the bathroom.
No, not in. but-
That's kind of voyeurism, but
I think we have some fake ones up on.
Well, we've also talked about just getting door locks, electronic door locks that actually lock at about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And unlock in the morning, because I think the majority of the vandalism happens after dark.
Yeah.
So that would help out, but yeah, we talked about cameras.
So the issue with cameras is power and internet service to get to them. And you saw it with the bid for the library camera, you know, that's $10,000 to $14,000 for cameras to get in the system, plus the subscription so that we can access it. We definitely want to do that. The locking doors with magnetic, you know, they just put a strong magnet on it that we can put a timer on it and have them open and close when we want. That's a very less expensive thing. We've actually talked about doing it here at City Hall too. As we've been looking at different options for USDA upstairs. Those run about $3,000 to get installed, which would be a good thing to do. We just haven't put it into our capital facilities plans to actually make the move.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on the playground? That's kind of big, but yeah, so we'll continue to work on that. My last thing to bring up is, lady approached Amanda and I about, I guess she's runs a lighting company, her husband did, and he passed away, and she wants to get rid of all these lights. So she's giving them to us for a discount price. And Amanda has this grandiose vision of turning Pioneer Park into this little Christmas village with a lot of lights and kind of make it a little attraction. And she's kind of twisted Corey's arm into helping out with the lights. And if I need to hold her back for her, I will. Anyways, I believe it was quoted at $4,000.
That's fine.
$5,000. So that's something we're kind of looking into as well. A lot of it is a donation on their part, so it's a good deal, but it doesn't necessarily mean we need to get it now, but that's something we're thinking about. And she would really love to turn that into a little cool place, especially at the library, have everyone go over there and hang out.
She's giving us first opportunity at these, and even if we need to break up price over a couple of years or do it with a wrap tax or
I
something like
want to
that.
make sure they're not old lights that are
Yeah.
gonna die soon.
Is it all or nothing? Do we need to take?
No, this is just what was given to me about it. Just to kind of show, you know, they're donating the unit price is what they paid for them. They're calling it an in-kind donation and asking us to provide $5,000 for $18,000 worth of Christmas lights. I just wanted to get your thoughts on whether you wanted to do something like this, if this is a good enough deal that we should explore further, or if you just want to pass entirely.
I think it would need, but
It's the amount we were going to give for the entire year for Hans Hansen, right?
yeah, and this is not just for Hans Hansen.
No, I just mean,
I don't think they won't be in favor of
yeah,
that.
I just mean,
In
like,
its
we're giving
place.
5,000 to Sarah Thomas to keep the. It doesn't seem like it's critical a thing to me.
Are we having fireworks this year for Christmas?
We haven't checked with Justin yet, but
That is the plan.
we're assuming that we are.
Another thing, speaking of fireworks, and that is looking into maybe doing a drone show. So
So Mayor and I have talked about that, and
it's a no-go.
mixed feelings. The idea of a drone show is awesome. What Amanda really would like to do with that is bring it so that instead of having Main Street parade and activities on Main Street, and then everybody goes north to watch the fireworks to Family Park and then comes back to Main Street, a drone show could be done above Main Street where everybody already is. The mayor's concern, that if I understand correctly, is just our relationship with Justin and making sure that we keep that as long as we can, and we don't want to burn a bridge. Is if we lose that, and he's provided a good discount and a good service to the city for many, many years. So we don't want to say no more with him and then not have that availability. in
I
the
think if
future.
we missed one season, it would be over.
Yeah. I think so.
So this is kind of, he said, she said, but Amanda met with Justin and kind of, what are your thoughts about a drone idea? And now that Justin's in Hurricane now, he's from what Amanda told me, Justin's kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Like, I'm kind of okay with not taking it on every year. But I can,
But then he wouldn't make
That's
the
what
donation.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
afraid of.
yeah, so keep it a recurring thing, so we.
Well, I'm hoping that didn't in Justin's mind, end it.
No, it was more just like, it wasn't a definite thing, it was just kind of.
Okay, we need to have a quick conversation with Justin
Okay.
to see if he's still planning on this upcoming.
Jordan, let's you, me and Amanda sit down and make that phone call together.
Okay.
How much would the drones show?
It's roughly about the same price that we've been spending on
I've
fireworks.
seen it way more. Oh, is it?
Yeah, a little more.
Quite a bit or?
When you say a little, Amanda told me it was roughly equivalent.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember it was like $1,000 or $500 more. And then-
I saw one before the St. George Marathon that I ran last year and it was cool. Different.
Yeah, so I didn't know about the kind of the position with Justin. I don't know if that would like against it, but no, she's like, hey, I like Dr. Justin. Like, okay, that sounds good. But yeah, we can make sure Justin doesn't know that we're not necessarily just gonna go to the ground this week, but she asked him about it.
The only reason I brought that up is because like the mayor says, we want to keep the fireworks or whatever. I don't know what the cost is on that and to add $5,000 on top.
It is unique that we have it at Christmas. It really is unique.
That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the, like, it's a good deal, but also like, just because it's a good deal doesn't mean you buy it right then. So there's timing there too, but that's what I want to bring up to you guys. And that is it for recreation. Any questions about anything else that was discussed?
I don't think so. Thank you. It's Brian. John, we'll have you come up with the presentation and you can do whatever you want with finances at first and then the presentation.
Well, I've just spent quite a bit of time with you recently. I don't have anything more than that unless you want me to come up and repeat some of that.
No.
It was hard enough the first time, frankly.
Okay, John, it's your show. You got 20 minutes and not a second longer.
Brian, thanks for sending that email with the.
I've got 18.
You got 18 minutes now.
I don't think I'll take that long. So the progress assessment, you want that first?
Sure.
So this is, in conjunction with our financial audit that we've got coming up in September and October, so this is just, an assessment that we do as part of the state every year, just gonna go through and see where we're at as a city, so.
Internally, this is an internal thing.
So the total score there is 345 out of 395, so that puts us in the low category, which is good. There are a few things in here that we can work on, increase that scoring, but we're still in a good position there. A lot of this is covered in the employee handbook, and
this is when you don't want the highest possible score.
No, we do.
no, we do.
You want to have 390.
No, you want the lowest. Oh, you want the highest.
Yeah, so,
The high number puts you in the low category.
Okay, well, that's what I meant.
so, yeah, most of this is covered in the employee handbook. Some of it is not, but there's some things we could obviously still work on to improve in these different areas that you can see on there, but overall, we're in pretty good shape for that, so. That's really all I've got, unless you got any questions on anything specific in there.
Personal use of entity assets.
There's nothing.
Why?
Well, and we probably could have checked that off this year, because there is a section of the employee handbook that does cover that.
So this is,
Do we
using,
have a policy on
do
it?
we have a policy on using computers to log into Facebook? Or, do you make personal phone calls on our telephone lines? Or, what am I missing, John?
So it's like.
Copies,
city
personal
equipment,
copies.
Yeah.
On the top.
You know, if you have a weekend project you want to do, you can't take the city back home and use it for that type of stuff, city equipment and. So,
I remember when we looked at that one, that was kind of a, do we check it or not? We felt like we were,
That's been a discussion before, and I thought that was made crystal clear.
yeah, I think unwritten, it's pretty well known that city property, you can't use for personal use. We do, I use clear that up a little bit so that we can help that box and not have an issue with employees or things.
What about IT and computer security? Don't we have that?
We do. There are specific, things that we had to meet that, were on top of what we already do, and I forget what the specifics of that are.
Yeah, since we talked about it, we probably need to talk with Marlon and James and see what. I think we're doing things.
So, we do have, fraud assessment tests monthly through the trust. We have a cybersecurity, James Blackburn, that we've hired to work on cybersecurity. In fact, we, in our fraud assessment, I was gonna bring this up during my comments, but, no better time than now. We did get flagged for a potential breach through our fraud assessment. James is on top of that. We think it's a false positive and could possibly be related to the new website redesign as Civic Plus is doing stuff. They may have changed something on the production site inadvertently. There's no evidence that anybody breached other than the insurance company that does attempted breaches to see what's there, right? And so, just today, we're looking at locking things down a little bit more and following up on that. So our cybersecurity, is good, just in the fraud risk. We didn't, again, John and I went through all these. There's a big questionnaire and you have to read, a huge paragraph for each of these questions, and it gives examples. And we just did our best to self-gauge on whether we met that thing or not. And there was something in the IT, and we did ask Marlon and James about it at the time. It was something about the login credentials or something like that, that we didn't feel like we could answer that one the way that would score for us. So, but that doesn't mean that we're in danger at all.
I'm gonna award 10 honorary points right now to put us in the very low.
What about, does the entity have a formal internal audit function? Does the entity have a formal audit committee? We have a formal audit committee, don't we?
We don't, so that would be, this is the, it'd be like,
Have to be some of the other fellows.
we have someone in the city and a community member and a professional that would be on that, so we have to basically form a new committee.
We've talked in the past about that, haven't we?
I think it's come up a time or two.
Every time we do this, risk.
Yes, every year. We don't have a formal.
But we do have the general audit. Every year.
Well, we have a financial audit.
Right.
So the internal audit would be a group of people that would look at anything, and that's not just financial either, that's any aspect of the city. So,
What about reporting fraud and abuse?
so we do have that in the handbook a little bit.
That's having the fraud hotline too, right? And a
That's
specific
right.
email address.
So that's out there as well, but we probably need to get better about publishing how to do that and a little bit of maybe a policy or a procedure form. If something happens, how do you report it? And then who does that go to? So
Well, let's do that. I mean, that seems like low hanging fruit right there.
it is, yeah. And like I said, we do have some of these in place, but we just didn't feel like we had it where it needs to be to actually say that we've got this good enough to market off our here. So we just need to improve those a little bit.
I'm all for improving a little bit.
Low cost.
Yeah.
Let's go back and look at it, and we'll
Yeah, I mean, we look at it every year and
bring recommendations.
we've got more checked off here than we have in the past, so we just. keep improving. Yeah,
What our score was last year.
I don't know if I'm head, like it might be the same or just.
I think we added one or two that we didn't have last year.
Not significant difference, no, it's really good. All right, anything else on that? Okay, so warrant register, if there are any questions on that for me?
Like it's street season. See a little street stuff going
We saved some lawnmowers then.
What's that?
Some more.
On it. You got two mowers now, each on a 3-year rotation.
Michael, maybe this is for you, but I saw the $7,200 or so for the 50% of the cameras. And then the other 50% will come soon, but really no other big costs after that. Correct. I mean, the doors, that's a separate conversation, but for cameras, it's approximately 15 grand with the help of police.
Be a little bit less. When I talked to Ricardo, it would be like $2,000 less.
Oh, okay, and that's.
That'll be 15 grand for the power to talk to.
Any questions about the warrant register, council members?
The only other thing is the citizen taxation here tonight, which Sean's gonna head out, but, are you covering that right now, or any questions on that?
I think we'll take the first 5 minutes at 6 o'clock and
John, what, the amount of funds that this potentially could raise would be how much? 25,000?
So we're requesting 350,000. If we don't change anything, the number the auditors are giving us is 317,458. So of that, not all of it's gonna be collected, but most of it should be, and that total is about 32,000.
32,000.
But I think you're right. Everyone's seen their county tax bill.
That's what we have to, I think, remind everybody tonight is that what they just got in the mail is an assessment, a preview of their county taxes. And that's, we have nothing to do with that. So
that's this chart right here that we will display to show that of your tax bill that you got, and mine was for 2,000 something dollars. That portion that goes to Ephraim City is that small wedge of the pie.
Going on this tax bill, I don't know what that looks like, but on the backside, it also shows that where it's going. Yeah. What I have.
thank you.
I feel bad we didn't hear from Brian, you know, just.
We did hear from you.
It's been everybody to Sean.
Okay. Does anybody else want to add anything? Brian, any new stories from the town that you can tell us about publicly?
Have we had the inspection on the donut place?
The donut place is in progress. I haven't heard the latest on that, but they're getting close, fiberizing.
We were supposed to get an inspection on it today, but everything wasn't done, so it'll be the next couple of weeks.
Couple weeks, hurry this up.
You don't want a donut.
Kobe's team loves donuts.
I was gonna ask,
sake of losing my job, I'm not a big donut fan, so. But
Doesn't fit.
I'm not speaking for everybody.
Police department's getting a little thin, they need it on.
Well, okay. I think, we will have a 5-minute sauntering break.
We need to actually adjourn. And then start a new meeting at,
Oh, because it's a
because it
public
has to be
hearing.
on different
Okay.
agendas.
So we will adjourn to start that sauntering break. Or I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I motion that we end this
Second.
meeting,
The work meeting.
the work meeting.
And Margie seconded. Motion made by Councilman Reveal, seconded by Councilman Anderson. All in favor?
Yes.
It is 6 p.m. We'd now like to bring this Ephraim City Council Truth and Taxation Public Hearing to order. Candace, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Norfelt,
Here.
Councilmember Stevens,
Here.
Mayor Scott,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson. Yes. Councilmember Perry,
Here.
Councilmember Beal.
Here.
Right under the wire. All right. I'm going to turn the time over to Sean Lewis, our city manager.
Just 1 second, I gotta fix the Zoom so that everybody that's watching online, which is just me, can see the screen here, so. Let me pull this up so that we can. Do that. There we go. So, as we have talked since January, as a council, we are looking to do our first truth and taxation hearing, which is tonight. For the public that is watching online or here in the room, reminder that our fund structure, our total budget is the grand total of everything. We have governmental services, which is general funds and capital projects, and then business services, which is our utilities, right? So our power, water and sewer utilities are our business services, and they use enterprise funds. The total budget for the city is $31 million. However, for this year, there's a couple of outliers that we want to talk about. Of the total budget, we have, this is where everything goes to. So you've got the general fund, our building authority. The building authority is our bonds over that we have for the library and city hall, equipment and building and capital projects, our water fund, our electric fund, our sewer fund. So that basic third is our enterprise funds. Our impact fees come in. We have our airport fund, Class C roads. This is the entire pie of the $31 million budget. When we talk about property taxes, though, we're mostly talking about the general fund. And the general fund has to balance in that we have revenues and then expenses. And this year, because of the 750 South Road project, our general fund is a little bit out of whack as per the normal size. Right now, because we've received a $5 million earmark from the federal government for that 750 South project, our pie and our general fund is greatly influenced by that money. And that's just, we take in that money to spend on that specific project. That same money goes out on that project. So that's not tax funds. The piece of the pie over here, which is usually a little bit larger, less the 750 South project, is where we get our taxes and such. Our general fund is funded on a three-legged stool of property taxes, fees, and sales taxes. We want sales taxes to be the vast majority of that because that's what we pay, and it's not levied against your property. The property taxes is actually the smallest of those three legs. And so when we look at our expenses, again, that 750 South project is our largest expense in the budget this year. The next largest expense is our police department. And this is the commitment that we've made to our residents that we want our community to be safe. And we are just under a 24-hour agency right now, or we're still a 24-hour agency. So we have coverage 24 hours a day in the city. And we are able to do that because of the staffing that we've done at the police department. And we are the only agency in Sanpete County that is 24 hours. Is that right? Okay. So when we talk about property taxes, just a couple of weeks ago, everybody in the county received their property tax notice. Now, this is not the tax bill. This is the tax notice that estimates what your taxes will be when you pay them in November. On the property tax notice, that the price that you pay for your property taxes is broken among all of these different entities. And you can see that the portion that Ephraim City collects is just a small piece of the larger property tax pie that you are assessed. The way that the property taxes work is an assessor goes out, assesses your home for a value. The state of Utah says that they can only tax you on 55% of that value. And the assessor only has to reassess your value on your house every fifth year. So they'll go out and actually look at your house every fifth year. Most counties will do it every fifth year. Some do it a little bit more often, but then they will guesstimate based on sales or perceived sales, because Utah is a non-disclosure state. People who sell property do not have to disclose what the price they sold that property for. And so it's really kind of an estimate on looking at what people are asking for their houses and knowing, a couple of places that do disclose what the sales actually were, because you can do that voluntarily, and that helps the county tax assessor. So they take 55% of that, and then they multiply it by the tax rate for all of these different entities, and that's how you get your property tax number, right? So each of these entities, Sanpete County, the state school levy, the largest property tax user is the county school district, and that's the Utah State Constitution. Those are all things that you get billed for out of that property tax notice, and when you pay your property taxes in November. So we are proposing for the first time we can recall it or find in Ephraim history, raising the property tax rate. John has done a really good job on this. These are the current Sanpete County tax rates. Ephraim is highlighted in red. This is what the tax rate would be if the proposal goes through and is approved tonight via ordinance. This is what the rate would be. So you can see that Ephraim, if we take out Sanpete County of just the cities, Moroni, Mount Pleasant, Mayfield, Gunnison, and Fountain Green all pay a higher tax rate. And in effect, the same valued house would pay more in taxes in those communities than they do in Ephraim, even with this proposed increase. Does that make sense for everybody? Fountain Green, they are also doing truth and taxation this year, and that number is their proposed tax increase. So even as Fountain Green, if they adopt their tax increase, we would still be behind them with our increased tax. Okay. John also put together this graph of Ephraim historical tax rates. The way that property taxes are designed to work is that as growth happens, the tax rate naturally falls. And the way that is because you have more people paying taxes, your individual burden gets split up more because there are more people to pass the burden on to, more property or share that burden. Cities are required to maintain their budgetary number, except for new growth, okay? And as we maintain our budgetary number, we are not supposed to increase our budget from year to year unless we have increase in sales taxes, we collect more fees, or we do a property tax increase. Otherwise, we have to keep our budgets the same from year to year. When we have new businesses come in, as we did last year with Wendy's and Arby's and Tack and Go, your sales taxes that you pay there will raise our boat, right? We get a little bit more increase in funds from that. As such, the property tax rate tends to fall every year. When this system was set up in 1986, the intent was that cities would go through truth and taxation every year or every other year to maintain the tax rate and get a little bit more income. As everybody knows, the economy hits the cities just like it hits your family budget. The grocery bill goes up. You pay more in groceries this year than you did last year. We are paying more for city services such as streets. The one we like to talk about is the cost of the poly pipe. Brian, or Jeff, what was the cost of the poly pipe 2 years ago? It was like $7 a foot.
Really big size.
Yeah, but
Yeah, $20 a foot.
now that same pipe is $20 a foot. Right? And that's what we use to maintain roads. Chip sealing has gone up. We used to be able to chip seal 2 or 3 blocks for $500,000. Now we get a quarter block for $500,000, right? And so those are numbers. So over time, the tax rates come down, with the exception of when we've gone into recession. If you look at our graph here, this drop, you notice coincides with 2008 and 2009. John, you explained this better than I did on why the tax rate goes up during the recession years.
So based on property value, so value of property was down, rate goes up. Dollar amount.
That's right. So your rate is flexible from year to year, year to year. So what we are proposing now is to raise our rate by a minimal amount, which in our notice that we put out, we look at the average household value, which was identified by the county to be $424,000. And the tax, the Ephraim City portion of the tax would raise from $229 to $252. And then on a business from $417 to $454. I find that a little bit misleading though. And that's why we created this slide. So when we look at the average residential value of $424,000, your taxable rate is $233,200. The 2023 tax rate was 0.001208, which would give you a tax of $281.71. So if you have this $424,000 in house, you paid Ephraim City $281 last year. When we have to advertise the truth in taxation, you'll see the no change, the tax rate would have dropped so that same house would have only paid $263.28. We have proposed a 10% tax increase, or roughly 10% tax increase. And so the 2024 tax, if this increase goes through, again, going from 1208 to 1218 means that the net difference between the same house between 23 and 24 and what you would pay in taxes is literally $2.33 a year. And that, on that example, if every house were that, we would, and everybody paid their taxes, we would collect an extra $32,000, John. So this is not asking for a ton of money. But as we are, costs have gone up in the city, it just costs more to do business. We've hired 2 new police officers. We're about to hire a 3rd. We've switched our school resource officer, as we announced earlier tonight, from a part-time position to a full-time position. That includes benefits and all the upfitting that goes with that. We've got a lot of things that cost money. Cities just cost money to do. In Sean's perfect world, we would invite all sorts of businesses into town and we would start generating sales tax to take care of these increases. But in reality, the effective way to run a city is to raise taxes a little bit every couple of years. Because what happens is, in a lot of instances around the state, you will find that cities have not paid attention to their property tax rate. And they let it go down and let it go down until it becomes a crisis. And then they have to raise it, not the 10% that we've proposed here, but 100 or 200% to make up shortfalls in funding. And our goal in keeping our city financially sound is to do minimal increases more often so that we can just keep up a little bit with inflation on everything that we're doing here at the city. And we hope that $2 per resident per year is not a huge ask to help us maintain the quality of life and the services that the city provides. Any questions about that? Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Okay, we'd like to open it now for any public comment. Or we'd ask you to keep your public comment to 5 minutes or less. And understand, please, with the public comment that this isn't a discussion back and forth between the council and whoever would want to comment. It's just us listening to what your comments are.
Mayor, did you want 5 minutes or 3 minutes?
5.
Okay.
After, yeah.
I know we talked about 3 earlier today.
That's why I'm clarifying.
So we'd like to open it now for public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment, if you'll come up here to the podium and state your name, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
You want takers?
Thanks, Tyler.
Tyra Taylor. My biggest concern is everybody's not here because nobody ever shows up. We already know that. So my biggest concern is they're going to see that 10% and it's going to just outrage people for $32,000. It's not a lot of money, and I understand that we're losing it because the tax rate went down, but my biggest concern is that you are going to outrage a lot of citizens, even though they should be showing up, but we all know they won't. So my biggest concern is how do we, I understand it. I see that it's only a $2 difference, but with our property values that have doubled in the last 3 years, it's not just $2. Last year, my payment went up with my escrow over $150 a month because of what my property was valued at. So $2 is nothing. It's the fact that everything exploded last year on our taxes. So
that was the county.
It was all of it combined, and now I'm paying almost double what I paid the year before because my property value went up so high. So it's not really the $2 that I'm concerned about. It's more the fact that they're going to see a 10% increase. And yes, I understand it, but it's $32,000. Is that really worth? Is it worth it? Is it worth making people that angry? So that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hello?
I think.
If you'll just.
Sorry, Nelson. So on mine, it's 7.9%. And so I wonder, I mean, a lot of people are gonna be paying 1%. So if you market it at 10%, when, I guess the 10% is my question, is how we're coming up with 10%, when for most of us, it's gonna be a lot less than that. And so, I mean, mine's went up $28 instead of $2. But it's still 7.9%. And so if we tell the community it's 10, I wonder why we're saying that number instead of what it really is for most of us.
Sean, can you answer, or John?
I can talk to that a little bit. So as we go back to our example, let me get back to that slide for you. Remember that we have to, per state law, we have to advertise based on the average home value in the county, which is $424,000. Your tax bill is going to be based on your valuation of that house. So if your house is being valued at $3,000 or $300,000, that money would, your bill would be less, right? The increase that they have to talk about is the difference between the 2023 tax and the 2024 tax. So that 281.71 versus the 263.28, which is the $18-ish that the difference in if there was no change to the tax rate and what you paid last year. What I am showing is the net of what you paid last year, and with the increase, what you would pay this year on this $424,000 house is $2.33. So if you look at what you paid last year, what we're proposing you pay this year, the difference is only $2. The state requires us to advertise it as what you would have paid with no increase. Does that make sense?
Let me try something. And John and Sean, you guys make sure I don't mislead, okay?
Sure.
If you look at the rate, right, on this slide here. Now, you're looking at your whole county, I think, right? We're talking,
Come on, look at it, fine, it's 7.9 for equal city.
okay.
You can start take a look at your notice there.
So our rate on this slide here, right, is if our 2024 rate with no change is 0.0011. Our increase, it'll be 0.001218. The difference is 0.0001, right? And that's 10% of that. And so that's why we're saying it's a 10% increase of our rates. The difference between the two rates is 10% of the total rate.
But this person's tax is going up half a percent.
That's right. Which is a 10% of the total rate.
Well, I understand.
I think.
To me, we could market it a lot easier and make it a lot less.
The problem is we're
required-
state law.
We're required by law to market it a certain way.
And that's why you get your notice that calculates that. That 7.9 is for your specific house, your specific valuation. Not
Everybody's is different.
everybody's different.
Not change the way we go what we have in business, it would be 370,450. So we think that 350,000 that we're requesting divided by the 370,450, that would be 10.25%. So when we look at the picture as a whole, it's about 10%. Individuals and businesses are going to vary from there.
Based on the value of their property.
So if you're having a 10% increase, it should be the same, across the board, I think.
Talk to your state legislature about that. They're the ones that set the rules. I get it. It's funny math.
Any other comments? Do we have anybody online or?
We do not.
We don't? We expected 30, 40, 50 people. Seriously, that's what we thought we would have here. I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked.
We're glad you're here, Rob.
Yes, I mean, not to take away from Robert or Tyra.
Mayor, I can I just say something?
You want to make a comment?
I do want to make a comment. I want to be on the record to compliment Tyra. Did she leave? Tyra was here months ago.
She comes to about every city council meeting.
Well, and that was gonna be my comment, Margie, is that she was here months ago when we were talking about the co-op. And then city council member sat at the dais and said, we spend all your money and nobody shows up to the meetings. And Tyra took that as a personal challenge and has been to about 90% of the meetings ever since then. And she needs to be commended for that kind of dedication and that kind of attention to what the city is doing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so not seeing any further comment, I want to close the public comment portion. And now proceed to item B on the agenda with the truth and taxation hearing. B, Ephraim City Resolution 24-11, ECR 2411, a resolution adopting a property tax increase. Council members, do you have any discussion regarding this?
I think we've worked it pretty hard.
Just so you know, we've had meetings on this for the last 3 months. It's, we've talked about it, we've stewed about it, we've wondered about it. And so this is the culmination of that 3 months of talking and planning and wondering and.
And maybe they want to
Yeah.
come in and make a comment.
They're
They're coming for,
very close to.
they're coming for you, City.
Any thoughts, council members? Any?
I do appreciate what Tyra brought up about, for $32,000, we're gonna catch some flack for this.
And I brought that up.
We talked
myself.
about that in the meeting
Yep.
before too.
But if we don't do something now, it's just gonna get, I mean, we're setting a course for future years. I'm ready.
I think Sean put it pretty well that our costs as a city continue to increase. The way that the design of those who designed the way that these taxes are done, it really is, I think, for us cities to have these truth in taxation hearings, discussions every year or every other year at least, just so that we're not losing out on I think we need to try to have our residents enjoy the fact and be able to take some of the gains in their property values themselves, right? We don't want to take it all, but we don't want to lose it all either, right? And that's the way that it's set up. And if we don't do these truth in taxation hearings, discussions every year or every other, I think we're doing a disservice to the future of our city.
To our knowledge, Ephraim City has not held a true or raised any property taxes since 1986. That's a long time. It's longer than some of you have been alive. Mainly Margie, but
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, but not true.
so. But it's well taken what our residents have felt, and we've heard this, but like I said, I was surely thinking we'd have 40 or 50 people here tonight for that public hearing, but we only had 2. So, all right, looking for motion.
Motion that we adopt Ephraim City Resolution ECR 2411. Which will
Read it out.
The
a
resolution.
resolution adopting final tax rates and budgets for the year 2024.
Motion made by Councilmember Beal, second by Councilmember Stevens. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we'd like to close this public meeting, the truth and taxation part of the meeting. And we'd now like to move directly to our Ephraim. Yeah, I didn't see it on the agenda, so I wondered if we needed it. But so looking for motion. To
I
close this
move that
part.
we close the truth and taxation hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Nordfeld, second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor?
Yes.
Now I'd like to move to our regularly scheduled Ephraim City Council meeting. And Candace, would you do a roll call once again?
Yes. Councilmember Nordfeld,
Here.
Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Mayor Scott,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Perry
Yes.
and Councilmember Beal.
Thank you. I've asked Councilmember Beal if he would offer us an opening prayer, and I will offer the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father in heaven, we're grateful for the chance we have to meet together as residents of this great city. We're grateful for all that we are blessed with and for this great nation, for this time we can live with the freedoms we enjoy. We pray that we can have a spirit of harmony and unity tonight as we discuss important matters pertaining to the city. We're grateful for all that we have and pray that will be with us tonight. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you. I'll stand. You face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Candace, have you received the public comment other than the one I have? Okay. This is a public comment that came to us, was emailed to us, Candace?
This is the form, they're online.
Oh, they are online.
Yeah.
Okay. If they would like to,
Let me, pin them and I will move them over so you all can see them.
hello,
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
hello.
We can hear you, so.
And your name is Alec Touche?
Alex Teich.
Hi, sorry about that. So Alex, if you would like to make your statement, we're listening.
All right. I just wanted to say thank you for putting on the active transportation workshop with Bike Utah. I was very glad to attend, and I'm very glad that Ephraim City is prioritizing safe cycling, walking, and rolling. I'm a cyclist myself, and so I'm grateful for anything the city can do to improve bicycle infrastructure, and having complete protected bike path networks would really be a tremendous benefit to the city. That is all.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. We appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments? Okay. We'll move on to item 1, action items. Item 1A, presentation. Ephraim Youth City Council Presidential Service Awards. Julie, I believe that you're going to do that.
The Youth City Council members have an opportunity to earn a National Presidential Award, a volunteer service award every year. And we can give them a lot of hours towards that, helping serve with the Youth Council, but they have to work on their own beyond that to actually qualify with enough hours to do this. And so I would like we have one girl that earned it last year that's not here. She's at soccer practice, but I would like the rest of the girls to come up here. Jocelyn Kiesel, would you compare? And Mara Thompson and Katie Alder and Taylor Hanks. And just to put this in perspective of how many hours these girls have served, Jocelyn earned a gold medal, and she served 258.5 hours. That is a lot.
Yes.
And so there's her certificates and your pin. And Katie Alder, she served, and she got the bronze award, and she served 149 hours. There's your great big gold pin. I'll just keep that one. You can hold on your phone, Taylor. You already got it. So Taylor did 100 hours and Mara did 115, and they both received the bronze as well. And Taylor was just talking, we were talking a second ago, and she goes, 100, I just barely got the award, and then I was like, that's enough. And I said, but think about that. If you had a job and you only worked for $10 an hour, that's $1,000 you could have earned and had that cash in your pocket. And these girls are all going to college this next year or the next year, and that could go a long ways for tuition. But instead, I have huge respect that these girls volunteered in different aspects, and that's just hours out of the goodness of their heart because they're invested in this community and the members in it. And so I think that's extremely impressive. So instead of $1,000, $1,500 in their pocket, they have paper, warmth of heart, and a gold coin. So I think that's very impressive, and that shows what good community members they are going to be in the future. So.
Candace, would you get a picture of that also?
Hey, Julie, I think you should go in the middle of it.
We need you, Julie.
Yeah, sure, nice.
Julie?
They parted the waters.
Oh, I know her.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you again.
Yep. And we do have one girl, Lillian Wasden, that she earned the bronze as well, and she did 102 hours. And so she's a soccer practice, but she definitely served her time as well above and beyond. So incredible kids.
Well, young ladies, we appreciate greatly the example that you are to everybody. The example that you are to your community, to your peers, to your parents, to your siblings, and to us gathered right here. I've always said that the world is run by those who show up. And you 4 young women have shown up to the tune of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. And so thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your commitment to this community and to those who you live with. And so once again, thank you. We'd like to move to item A2, presentation of Miss Ephraim Royalty, Tammy Merrill.
Hello, my
Hello.
name is Cami Merrill. I'm the new Miss Ephraim of 2024.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And me and Shania are just here tonight to present ourselves to the city council. And I have 2 other attendants and they weren't able to make it tonight, but this is Shania Valenzuela. She's one of my second attendants. And then I also have a first attendant, which is Marianne Bohr, and another second attendant, which is Robin Parker. And we just like to thank you guys for your support, and we're so excited to serve our community in the year of 2024 and 2025. But
Well, we congratulate both of you, and you're going to represent, I can tell, you're going to represent Ephraim just fantastically. So congratulations.
Would like to make one comment because they have 2 projects they're supposed to be doing, and sometimes those projects get left towards the end of the year. Tammy is on it. She is going to do her 2 projects, and she's got the ideas, and I don't know if she did this week, but I know she's going to come in and meet with Sean. And so she's on it. She's going to do it, and she's going to get it done early, and that's quite a feather in her crown.
Or tiara.
Or tiara.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you once again. All right, moving on to item B. Under action items, item B, consent items, item B1, Ephraim City Resolution 24-10, bathroom privacy policy, a resolution creating a city privacy plan in accordance with Utah Code 63G-31-304. Any questions, council members? This is something that is being mandated by the state. And each city needs to create a policy that reflects the legislative code. Any questions?
You don't have to construct them. You have to construct a new restroom.
So it doesn't require us to make any modifications to our current facilities. Any new facilities that we build does require a single-use, non-gendered bathroom facility that can be used. And mostly what this asks us to do is just what we would hope would be logical in practice anyway. If you see something that's not right, say something, and the response would come from our police department.
Should that first thing say 304 instead of 301? The first paragraph.
Whereas, the first paragraph, whereas under Utah code.
We will need to verify and correct that, but I think we can modify that on the final version, right, Candace?
It's okay below.
Good catch.
I make you have finished asking for comment, are we okay?
Any other comments, questions? Okay, Margie?
I'll make a motion that we approve ECR 24-10 privacy space compliance plan. A resolution creating a city privacy plan in accordance with Utah code. I don't know what the ANN annotated, I don't know stands for 63G-31-304.
I second it.
Motion made by Councilmember Anderson, second by Councilmember Nordfeld, all in favor.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Moving on to, under consent items, number 2, discussion of the cancellation of the September 4th council meeting.
September 4th is the fall conference of the Utah League of Cities and Towns.
I thought it was the 14th.
It may be the Elk Hunt too.
That's not the 4th of September, is it?
Yes, it is.
The Utah League.
That's early.
I thought it was the 14th.
While none of the city council members have chosen to go, all of you have chosen to go to the spring conference in St. George. However, Candace, myself, and Brian, and Megan are all scheduled to be in attendance with the league. And so with that, you would not have staff here to hold a council meeting. I'm pretty sure that nobody
Don't you
wants.
trust us? We could do a lot.
You could do a lot there. I don't trust you to run the Zoom or Candace's recording. That would be necessary. So with your permission, we'd like to cancel that meeting so that your staff can attend the league meetings.
I thought it was the 14th.
I just checked it too, and it's the 4th and 5th in Salt Lake. not-
Okay, well, I had got invited to be on the committee to the nominating committee. I thought it was 14th and I turned Nick Jarvis down, but I'll call him and tell him I can do it. So I won't go to the conference. This is just something before the conference starts that I've done for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
So.
So it's just because your staff is looking to get educated.
Any questions, council members, discussion?
Fine with me.
Looking for motion?
So great. I motion that we cancel the September 4th council meeting. So they can attend the ULCT. Okay.
Motion made by Councilmember Beal.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Perry. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved. Item number 3, alternative city logo.
This is gonna be a popular one. I think I've got a couple of the council members fired up. As you know, in October, we are, by state mandate, we are switching to ephraim.gov as our domain name. This change happens to coincide quite nicely with our every 5 years, Civic Plus, our website hosting company, allows us to redesign our website. So we'll be rolling out our website. Instead of being ephraimcity.org, will now be ephraim.gov. And we'll be rolling out a website. As part of the website redesign, we were looking at some of the colors and things that Candace is so good at, and we just had a brainstorm of what would a alternative logo look like. Now, we're not suggesting that we replace our current logo, which we all love, but there are certain formats that this logo just does not translate well to. Part of that is the script that it's in. The color, the tannish color, gold is somewhat difficult to replicate, and we do not have high resolution vector images of it to scale and do it other things. So we wanted to kind of float the idea of what would it look like if we were to focus on the E in Ephraim, maintaining the spirit of the current logo with the trees, and have a couple of different templates. Now, normally when we go through a branding exercise, we'd hire a consultant and spend $60,000 to $80,000, and they'd provide us a big book of how it would look on every piece of clothing, every hat, every car, and everything like that. We didn't do that. We have an acquaintance that's a graphic designer that we said, hey, what would you do if you had this thing? And so Lindsay was able to draw up a couple of logos that could be used in different things. Again, we're not looking to replace the logo that we have. That remains the official city logo. What we're looking to is for different use applications, website, maybe business cards, to have an alternative or like a hat that we could do. One of the things that we would like to do eventually is right now we have different logos. Every department seems to have their own thing. The library has a logo. Our power has a logo that they are looking to put on hats that they've designed. The city has a logo, Rec has their own logo, and there's no cohesive brand to Ephraim City. And so when we look at like Ephraim recreation programs, even though we have that circular Ephraim recreation logo, it does not tie back to the city to show that as a city thing. So as we look to just improve our game, one of the things we do is how do we brand ourselves? How do we market ourselves? How do we look to the general public? The fact is most kids don't know how to read script or cursive nowadays. It's a failing of our school system. I agree with everybody on the council, but it doesn't change the fact that most kids can't read it. And we want to make it so it's easily replicable and recognizable. And we thought that having an alternative logo that could be used, that we could use in different formats might help us go down that path of branding the city consistently across departments later.
I like the top left one there, but can you put a little S on the hill?
We could talk to Lindsay about that.
But Ephraim what? It says Ephraim, Utah. Ephraim what, Utah?
I think most people that are familiar with Ephraim know that we are a city.
There's an E from Wisconsin, so I do think we want Utah.
And think of the context that you're gonna see this in. People that are gonna see this are gonna be interacting with the city.
Right.
So
What's the cost? Cities.
We paid $750 for this template. This is ours. We can use this however we want. There's no future cost.
They're not gonna rebrand everything.
We're not gonna be putting this on cars anytime. If you adopt it, we would maybe look at when we get future cars, maybe doing that, but we're not gonna go out and replace. We do have to replace business cards this year because all of our business cards say ephraimcity.org as far as website and email. So in October, we're gonna be ordering new business cards to reflect the ephraim.gov change.
John,
Yes, sir.
just one comment for me. There's no giant E correlation anywhere in Ephraim. I know Ephraim starts with an E, but I personally haven't liked the big E. I like the E from Utah with the trees on one side or the other, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't see a big E on the mountain anywhere like the other towns have, you know what I mean? If there's an S, but there's.
Usually because they have a school. It's usually.
I just looked up, I don't know, can we just dialogue here for a second? Super tiny, I don't expect anybody can see it, but just Manti cities, where the silhouette of the temple, the building where Kevin Christensen works in, what is that, the county building?
But that's gonna change pretty soon.
Tabernacle, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. And Manti City feels like home. And feels like home is in like a Comic Sans type of a thing. And who cares what Manti does? I get it. Right. But just that I really like Mayor's idea of like putting an S on the mountain. I think putting it the temple on it would be nice for some and not nice for others. I don't.
Can I just warn you, and this is life experience, Logan, Utah got sued 30 years ago for having the temple in their official logo. And I don't want to put the city in that position.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know what mantis looked like, and I don't know, if this is gonna be heard, but it's a little bit tacky and it looks kind of like.
I think we need to say
city. These computers versus did it.
Yeah, it looks like one of those.
Kind of the old
Graphic.
clip art. Or
Yeah, clip art graphic.
Sean, you might pull up Mount Pleasant. I won't ask for any others, but just, yeah. I like Jeff's thing too. I really like to eat from Utah with the pine trees on the side. Oh, yeah,
There's lots more Mount Pleasants in the world.
Yeah, there's a Mount Pleasant in every state. I'll bet you.
Is that our Mount Pleasant?
See, there again, they've got the city of Mount Pleasant.
That's Mount Pleasant.
That's Texas.
I don't know if this is.
Well,
Mount Pleasant,
Mount
Utah.
Pleasant, Michigan. Mount Pleasant.
No, that's South Carolina. I'm not sure that Mount Pleasant, Utah. Let me go to their website. And I am way okay if you guys just tell me to stick this. But there's lots of applications that we could use a logo, especially when it gets really small. Our logo gets difficult to replicate and to read. And so we're just trying to find something that we can use both in digitally and physical graphics. Gosh, did they even? Here's their city website. It's the county website.
Where's the county?
It's that one up there.
The county one has
Has a little bit
the
of.
horseshoe I like that it's not a huge expense.
No.
Well, and again, we used some of last year's administrative budget that was left over to pay for this. We figured $750 was within my scope of responsibilities that I could pay for.
I believe Spring City just had theirs redone.
Maybe I'm obviously a less popular opinion, but I like the gradient color version. And I don't know that we have to have just one of those, right? You can.
No,
They all could be part of.
This is different treatments, right? So this is Spring City's logo.
Mayor Gunnison says the G on the mountain in their logos.
But I think if we wanted, the problem is with that S, it gets really hard to replicate in a small on the mouth. I understand the feeling of what you want to accomplish there, but I don't know that it would show up well. But this is the same treatments. This is just a gradient color with the green. This is if we have just a solid color, that green's not really showing up very well.
And I do like the mountain on the E.
And the black, this is just black and white in different things. And she did give us, let me pull up just so you have it, because you asked.
In black and white.
No, we actually had her take the city off. And I've got to find the old one that she had sent us with Ephraim City, so you could see what it would look like. Because I do have that for you, I just got to find it. Yep.
You know, what the state just did with their new flag, the amount of input they had and the reaction.
Was tremendous.
I think it'd be awesome to have this go out in your newsletter with the competition, have these kids that we just recognize and the city council, junior kids and the elementaries and everybody submit options and then you guys decide from.
They did that on the flag that we adopted.
Yeah.
That we need to have, but they did that on the middle school kids too.
I like that. How did we get the original one or the current one?
I4 just did it for you.
Who did?
I4 Media.
I forwarded the last logo. They did a couple variations. They have the Ephraim City and then the logo underneath and then just the mountains without the logo and a couple of different variations that we have.
Just for kicks and giggles, this is one of the first treatments we talked about as design guidelines. How do we incorporate our Scandinavian heritage into a logo? And this is one that has the Scandinavian cross using our current stuff in different colors.
How about this one?
That's
Yeah, there's one of these current ones that has a city. I just gotta find it.
Our city building is unique in the state. I think it'd be
The
recognizable.
road logo was the city hall.
Oh,
Yes, do you have it?
I know there were a lot of folks upset with snow, when snow rebranded also.
And again, that's why we didn't want to call this.
Because they added the blue, I was not one of them, but I was,
Yeah, I love it.
yeah. When they added the
As in the
blue
one-
back, when they kept the blue and added the orange, then I was all for it. Except that they did the one logo and it was just like Southern California, and they.
Syracuse or.
Yeah, and they,
Frankly, if we were
and they
to,
got after us.
if we wanted to do a full rebrand, I would say let's hire a consultant. Let's have them come down and do focus groups. Let's have them come down and do.
I think the idea of letting some locals send us something. I think that could be really interesting.
Are we on?
I think maybe we could put, these different logos in the newsletter.
I don't like that. It's the cities down below.
And say,
Looks like city.
you know, if you'd like to submit a logo by September
To be considered.
25th or something like that, or whenever our last city council meeting is in September, then please do it. But I think we have to explain that we're not rebranding everything. That this is only going to be a logo for hats and
Maybe somewhere on the website. It's just an alternative logo.
business cards
Yeah.
and things like that.
Much like the Jazz, you have the Jazz note, but that they've got 16 other logos that go along with it.
Okay, so let's do that.
Okay.
All right, moving on now to approval of the August 5th, 2024 warrant register. Any questions, council members? We talked about the warrant register and work meeting. Any questions, council members, about the warrant register?
I just said, it looks like road season.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 5th, 2024 warrant register.
second.
Motion made by Councilmember Stevens, motion made by Councilmember Stevens, second by Councilmember Bill. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved unanimously. Number 5, approval of the July 17th, 2024 city council meeting minutes. Any questions regarding the minutes?
I'll move that we approve the July 17th, 2024 city council meeting minutes.
Motion made by Councilmember Nordfeld, second by Councilmember Perry. All in favor?
Yes.
Now moving on to item 6, approval of the July 29th, 2024 city council meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 29th, 2024 city council meeting minutes.
Motion made by Councilmember Stevens,
Second.
second by Councilmember Beal. All in favor?
Yes.
Moving on to item 2, under action items, council reports. And we will start with Councilmember Nordfeld.
Got the fly-in at the airport coming up September 14th. I'm wondering if any of you would be willing to be at the gate. That's what we need, right? That's what
We need some volunteers. One of the volunteers is to be at the gate and sit in the shade and click the clicker to see how many people come in.
anybody interested in doing that on the 14th of September?
I need to check, because I have one
I'll be
in
helping with
September,
breakfast.
otherwise.
Oh, yeah, Rick, get your food, or he's done out of the back, and you like it.
Yes. He did. So Dennis, do you want to ask Richard?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to offer it to you if any of you wanted to do it first.
Let me know.
Flying for
If Dennis
pancake
says no, we're gonna-
Yeah, we want to come, but I just don't know if I can,
Dennis.
since it's.
Sounds good. And then just put it on your calendar to come and enjoy and have fun, and it should be a good time that day.
The
We have,
helicopter rides are the most popular item there.
I don't know that we'll have.
we don't have anything confirmed yet. But Amanda's gonna be helping out with a lot of the stuff.
Babies are doing the drinks or breakfast that they sponsor.
We will have a Coke truck trailer there. There'll be a breakfast that's all sponsored. Wolpert, our airport engineers are sponsoring.
That's what I'll be doing.
We've got a little bit of the airport budget that we set aside for this event. There'll be food trucks. We'll have both Southern Utah University and Utah Valley University bringing their flight schools to have a presence there. There's going to be Snow College, one of the Snow College bands or groups is going to be performing. So a lively event for the whole family.
Scouts are already.
Scouts are going to do some traffic control
and the Lions Club, so.
And the KMTI or whatever, radio or KMGR. I don't know.
KMTI.
That's pretty much all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff's report on the fire department very well. So it's moving well, it's working well. Chamber of Commerce continues to grow every month. It's moving forward. They're reaching out to businesses when grants are becoming available, and they're doing a very good job.
That's great.
And it's the county, right? It's the whole.
It's the county, Sanpete County.
Would there be an advantage to us having our own?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Perhaps
Another year or two.
We're gonna let them grow and take hold. And then we probably in 2, maybe 3 years, take a look at establishing our own chamber of commerce. Okay, done. Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
We don't really have anything. There's another interim session coming up here pretty soon, and I'm anxious to listen.
What are they gonna,
I don't know
I
yet.
always get worried.
Yeah.
about
I think that the IPP future, that will certainly be discussed again, because it was not fully covered in the interim session, the last interim session. So we'll see what happens.
What's wrong with them? Can't they take care of their business?
There's one, I think, every month until it starts in January,
Every month?
maybe every other month, but I think there might be one every month. 2 days, they just have 2 days each time.
Just.
Yep.
Well, there's the normal monthly interim meetings, which are not sessions. They can't pass bills. The special sessions are when they can pass bills,
Well,
so.
it said interim session for this month, so I'll look and see, but either way, yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Perry.
A couple of things. I did get invited down to the Peace Tree. They had a meeting trying to figure out what to do on the Peace Tree.
Didn't Cat Stevens talk about what to do?
Yeah.
He's trained.
He's trained, not the tree.
I told them what I thought, but I says it's your decision to come present it. You know, information, it goes back, Jeff's got a lot too. The thing that really concerned me, their first option was to take and cut it down like 10 feet and just leave it, but I'm just telling council, it's, and like I told them, once you cut it off, that's gone. That's about the only thing that I know of that's left, other than some buildings that was there when, back in the day. And yeah, it's dead and things have happened and it will cost money to repair it and preserve it, but I did give them some ideas. But I did say, you know, if you cut it off and leave it 10, 15 feet, it's gone. You know, I think we need to, I don't know what the solution is. You know, I gave them some ideas that would cost money, you know, to dig it up and put a base on it. And do some investigation on, what shape the trunk's in, if it is salvageable or not. The only concern that I have is to cut it off, you're just cutting it off and it's gone. So they came up with some ideas that I'm sure they're gonna come with some bands and some different things, but I said, you know, you bring what your idea is, but my concern is, yeah, we need to do something with it, but if you cut it off, it's gone. I don't know the solution to it, but it's gone. It's been a kind of a headache. It's got some wire cables holding it up that I'm really sure it's gonna hold it up, but yeah, something needs to be done.
So Jeff and Chad, that tree's cedar, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we ever cut it off, we'd want to put a metal cap on it.
And
So
they did talk about that. too.
So the water doesn't get in.
That, they talked about a fence around it. Shane talked about building some collars to stabilize it, cause it's trapped pretty good. So I don't know, like Chad said, there's lots of ideas floating around, and once we come up with the best solution, we'll present the ideas and see which direction to go.
So I think the most important part of this, when they met the other day with Councilmember Perry, we had representation from the Ute tribe, from the State Historical Society, the Daughters of Utah Pioneers, Chad from Ephraim City, and Shane Davis from Public Works. So we're trying to be respectful of the history of that tree. Fact remains though, the tree's dead and they're dying. Yeah, and then that.
No, it's dead.
Yeah, that
It
bottom.
was alive when I started, but then they started building stuff up around it.
Well, the thing is trees die. I mean, that's a fact of life.
This particular tree would have been okay if they wouldn't have started watering.
Yeah. Yep. But I'm just, you know, yeah, it's just a tree and it's dead, but once you cut it down, that's there's something we can cut it down and do with it.
No, and I should have said that.
Too, but anyway, it was a very good meeting. They met after I left, we discussed some different things that they're gonna bring to the council.
What was the view of the representation of the Ute tribe?
You know, I didn't know who was.
It was the sculptor feller was
Okay.
also from the Ute tribe.
Okay.
Is it Brad Taggart?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I didn't know that's what he was. But yeah, he's on board, wants to preserve it, yeah. You know, I said, you know, we've done the totem pole. You know, you could have some ideas like that. They did talk that they have to change the copper or the brass or whatever it is statement, because that was Mount Pleasant, not Ephraim City. That wording on the plaque that's on the rock. I think everybody, I don't know what they finished up, because I didn't want to, you know, I wanted them to kind of decide, but they were talking about possibly putting the bands around, possibly excavating, seeing how much damage there is on the roots. You know, I said, the thing of it is that, you know, if you dig down and do it right, put it on something that's gonna preserve that base, you're talking some money. And I don't know if there's grant money or what, but it would be nice if they could do it the right way and be done, and then Jeff, and nobody has to worry about it.
There has got to be, I mean, this is the ending of the Black Hawk War. This was not a little thing. This war encompassed 4 states in the Western United States.
And that's my point, you know, if you cut it down, yeah, that everybody agrees with that. That's fine, but it's gone. Once you cut it off, it's.
Right.
But you're saying there's
Yeah.
probably money somewhere.
There's got to be money.
We asked the
And there's got to be national, I mean, this was a national war. This was a war that was fought with federal troops in these 4 western states: Arizona, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada. So 5. So I think we need to look at,
It was a real good meeting. You know, was my thing is yes, is get the ball rolling on some money or something, but it'd be nice to be able to fix that base. So it's done, you know, and it would cost some money to do that, then it's standing up. It's basically,
No, I just don't know if you cut the bottom of it off, how you would ever fix it back. It's so rotten.
well, that's what I mean. It's went so long, but do some you know, do some looking into it and it's a lot bigger project than, you know, it's historical. Like you say, if we could get some money through some of these places to do it, there might, you know, there was talk of putting foam in and some other things, but
Utah Historical Society's gonna be here, I think, on the 8th of September.
you could actually do something and put it in glass, you know, or something. I don't know, but it was a good meeting. I was really glad to see the ball was rolling on it. Because as Jeff knows and Corey and everybody else knows, it's been ongoing. Not a problem, but a situation that we've really struggled on. Getting something that
for a
will
long
work.
time.
You know, but anyway, I was just concerned, my biggest concern is you cut it off at the top, you're done. Just have a plan. If that's what you're gonna do, make sure that's what you want to do. And make sure if you're doing it, when you mess with historical stuff, there might be some issues with just cutting it down. You know, on some of these groups may not appreciate that. So anyway, it was a real good meeting. I did go out and look at the road on 700 North. I guess it's 200 East. And it looks a ton better than what it was. I'm still concerned about these narrow streets. I hope we don't just ditch that thing because the liability, who's responsible if you got a trailer parked out there and somebody heads on or somebody runs into it or wrecks because there's not enough room for everybody to pass. That's my concern. If somebody's gets hurt or wreck or something, you know, who's gonna be liable for it? But the road does look a lot better than it did.
Well, the way it's been, once that east portion of that property develops, the road will widen to the east.
Right.
Otherwise, it's, you know, up to the city to condemn and build the road themselves, you know.
But I mean, we're getting quite a few of these streets that are narrow.
Just for half streets.
Half streets that are probably, who knows when the other half's gonna be built. And I'm still concerned about that. The street does look a lot better. I'm glad we got that resolved because it was pretty scary looking the way they started out. But I hope we don't drop the ball. We come up with some decisions on some of these narrow streets. Cause that's gonna have, it's got a lot of traffic on it now with the baseball parks and everything is, and then with all the building, there's gonna be more. And it's a lot like 400 East up above there. That's, you know, these roads, one of these days, something's gonna happen, and I don't know. Hopefully it
About
does.
those up past Bishop,
Um,
up by Tom Bay.
everything else is pretty good. I'm really impressed with the water and the power on their upgrades on their computers, and it's amazing how, you know, still have the books you write in, but it's amazing to go in and see screens everywhere that shows you, instead of having to send somebody up to Lake Hill or up to the tunnel or everywhere else to try to see what's going on. It's a big improvement, and you know, it's amazing for me because the city's came a long ways with it. I mean, these guys can look it up and see what's going on without, and get to the problem a lot quicker. And So I was pretty amazed. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Big.
I just have on the Youth City Council. They last week helped at the Clothing Resource Center, the clothing bank, for their back to school event. And this month, they are helping at the county fun on the farm, county fair, fun on the farm. And they're doing a great job. It was great to have them here. There's just a great buzz at the library. Things are going well. Yesterday I went to their art class thing that they hold, and they were doing spray paint, but not like you'd think. It's like spray bottles and painting these Dollar Tree canvases. That particular event was for ages 6 through 11. So 3 of my kids were out there doing that. And the Harry Potter party was really fun. There were a ton of people there, as was mentioned, but I think that a lot of people are looking to the library as just a hub and a great positive place you can hang out, and the activities. I mean, there's no end. Mariah and all these others are just coming up with great activities.
Any butter beer?
I had some cake. I can't remember what else they were giving out. But yeah, one of Karen or Ren, one of the newest employees, part-time employees there at the library, was dressed up as, I'm very good at this. It wasn't easy like McGonagall, but it was.
It was Dolores Umbridge.
That, Umbridge, sorry.
Dolores Umbridge.
So she was, it was, they were just great.
Did she
Oh, yeah.
slap your hands?
My son, who identifies as a Slytherin, was very taken by Miss Umbridge because that is his favorite character in the entire series.
She did a great character. It was a little unnerving when I was just like, hey, great job with this. I'm just like, what's that? You know, I was like, you can put the wizardry. Rap text, not much, but it'll be interesting to see how we deal with the playground issue at the family park. I was just gonna say, it's not one of my committees that I'm working on, but the hydro was way cooler than I thought it would be. And I thought it was gonna be great, but thanks, Corey, for taking us there. That was really interesting. Yeah, my brother was here from Rochester, New York, and I was just a couple of minutes late getting home to see him. And he said, where were you? I was like, I just gotta show you, and I was showing him pictures. He's like, are you kidding me right now? I was like, look, it's the oldest this side of the Mississippi. He's like, oh, actually, that is pretty cool. Wait, show me that part. So, amazing that it's still, still relevant, since 1906. Even though it's expensive to maintain and get custom parts for, but I think it's worth.
But we're now in the Hydro Hall of Fame.
Ted would be so happy.
Like, just a little bit on that, the mayor's been up to Big Springs and some of the springs. And by you, sometimes if Jeff, it's pretty amazing to see it, how that water all comes out of the mountain and how lucky we're having, and you just take it for granted, but maybe someday when we're up there.
I'd like to do a field trip.
Yeah.
To the springs, I
To
would
the
really.
springs and-
Yeah.
Well, just, like Big Springs is just, Big Springs is just.
They still got what?
We still got the carts. Brian wants to take you through the tunnel.
Oh, through the tunnel?
Take you through the tunnel whenever you want.
No, I don't know
How
if I
much
can.
How much water's in it now still?
I'll be the pickup guy on the other end.
How tall is
You've
it?
been in it before, probably.
Yeah.
Once is enough.
54-inch pipe, and you've got 10-inch pipe, so you've got maybe 30 inches of clearance.
So,
You go through it on your back.
but it is.
Oh, no.
It is pretty amazing to see where all the water comes from.
No, you just get on the cart. And there's a railroad track that goes, and you lay on your back.
Can I fit in my kayak?
I know, Lloyd, me too. Little claustrophobia going on there.
Don't know. I don't think there's enough water going through there right now to take a kayak.
I'd love to go.
You'd want me in a closet.
So Jeff, would you come up with a good date to take us up, maybe on a little field trip with the springs? It needs to be before school starts.
Well, that's 5 days away.
Well,
That's like next week.
That's
School
Friday.
starts a
Or
week.
snow starts.
You mean school, snow?
Maybe snow.
That's like the 25th, isn't it, Rob?
26.
26.
26th?
Because it was an educational thing for me. You know, Chad took me up and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot, of pretty interesting, to see. It is for me to see what's pushing the hydro.
The New Canyon Road, or not New Canyon, the Left-Hand Fork Road at some point, but right now it's, to get to Big Spring, it's pretty much ATV only.
Really?
With the big ruts and stuff, so we probably wouldn't be able to get a big congregation over there, but some of the other ones, yeah.
Like, you know, well, maybe even next year. I'll just sometimes.
Okay.
Subject oriented.
All right, our newsletter writer for the council will be you, Anthony, for the month of September, and then Chad, October.
By the 25th.
I did, do you send a reminder or should I just write that down?
You write it down, put it on your calendar.
What sends you a reminder when it's due? What about the power department and all the rest of them? Let's get it all them in there.
Lloyd, do you want to write next month?
No, I don't.
Okay, then you be quiet. And I took the words right out of their mouth.
Just a little bit on that, I do think either the paper in the city paper, that Corey got should be
Yeah.
put in one or both.
Receiving the award, I haven't seen that yet. I've emailed them hoping to get something,
Yeah, and then put it in.
and then
both
put it in
papers.
there.
I'd like to put that, you receiving the award, I'd like to send that to the messenger and maybe let them.
You want to write it on.
Yeah, maybe let's hold it off to October and then I'll just introduce it and then he can write.
We actually have the article that we sent to the Hydro Vision. We could actually put that in there.
Oh.
It just told the history of the hydro.
I just think that.
Oh, that's perfect.
I think that'd be.
That's perfect, right?
About 1,300 words.
But I think that should go in the.
I think we could do December too.
Hold on there, Trigger.
Hey, boy, we can see how many Christmas lights we can hang in December.
We had a meeting with Congressman Burgess Owens as a council on Monday, along with some staff members. We also had President McKiff there. We had State Representative-elect Troy Shelley there. We had Intermountain Health came and gave us a report of the project that is progressing. And we hope to see a sign on their property by the end of August. We really talked with them about that. And I think they're going to oblige because there's a lot of rumors out there that this project is not coming. And that is absolutely false. And I'm quoting them. That's absolutely false. This project is coming. So that was a very enlightening. We also had a presentation by Susie Beaker. And there's a foundation that is formed called Why I Love America. And I've been involved with it in the last 6 months. And so Susie came and presented, and she did, I thought, a great presentation. There will be a series of things that we'll be doing as a city in September to kick this off. I've sent that list to Sean. So there are several things that we can do. One of them is the flags, and maybe having the flags for the whole month of September displayed. I talked to President McKiff about the possibility of replicating their fall harvest, which they do, which Snow South does in Richville, and replicating that here in Ephraim. I don't know. I asked her to visit with her people, and she said she would. I'd like to replicate that. Scandinavian Days is a really great celebration, but the problem is we don't have the snow colored students here to enjoy that. And I think that there needs to be a mingling of snow college students with our residents. And so she's going to talk with her staff about that. Tonight, with great sadness, we are going to say goodbye to Daniel Van Buch.
Yeah.
And we feel badly. And I told him when he told me that this was happening, that he was taking a job with Midvale City. I told him we would match that plus provide a house. Didn't I have the house in there?
It must have cut out for.
Yeah.
But Daniel has provided us with incredible legal counsel. He's helped us through some things that have come up, that always come up with the city legally. And he's given us good counsel, and we're gonna miss you a lot. So we wish him well. He and his brand new bride will be assuming that job. This will be his last council meeting. He will finish out next Wednesday as our attorney, and then we'll proceed to try to find somebody to fill that spot. They can't replace you, but they would. So we need to have some conversations with Tracy about that.
Midvale's a good place.
No, it's not.
We had our first 3 daughters.
It is not. Oh, gosh.
We lived there for 5 years.
Okay, never mind.
It's beautiful.
Turn the time over to Sean. I don't have much. We've already gone over some things. We mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. I'm not sure if this is public yet. Just Executive Director Steph Hardy has told me that she'll be leaving the organization for some personal reasons. So they'll be looking for a new, we hope that doesn't curtail some of their growth, but they'll be looking for a new.
Who is it?
Stephanie Hardy.
Yeah.
From Nephi. She's looking to do some things. With that, Chamber does ask for a lot of money. They're putting out the business and community guide. This is an example from Springville. It's basically just there's a couple of articles. There'll be an article in here about the 50th anniversary of the Scandinavian Festival. This will be placed in hotels and such over the next year, and all places around the county. They told us that Manti City has purchased a full page ad, and I said, well, we probably ought to do better than Manti.
Look.
Well, at least a 2-page ad, right? We will have the article that they won't have, which does count as ad space for us. But if we want to advertise, it goes from 625 and down lower from that. So do we want to advertise in the magazine? My thoughts are, rather than just a city advertisement, make it more of a Scandinavian Days or a community calendar type advertisement where we put the dates of our annual events coming up for the next year. Thoughts? I'm getting one nod. Do we match Manti with the full page, or do you want smaller?
No. We go bigger and better.
2 pages.
Well, we've already got the Scandinavian article, so maybe just 1 page is enough. In addition to that.
But I think we ought to.
I'm appealing to your purient interest, Mayor.
I think we ought to write about the peace tree. I think we ought to write about our Pioneer Park, and that it is the repository of the 2nd largest pioneer artifacts in the state of Utah.
Okay.
I think we ought to talk about some of the businesses. New hotel.
I don't think they're giving us the whole book.
No, I know, but we can.
We gotta pay for our space.
Didn't Ephraim City used to have Black Hawk Days? Wasn't it called Black Hawk Days?
I never remember it, but it could have been, it could have happened.
And then Randy Lay Days came after that, but
Randall
I
Days
remember
was here
seeing
when
a
I
lot
lived here.
about the Black Hawk days. They used to go up and shoot cannons, go up on that hill in Almas and your dad knew a lot about it. But it was, I remember it used to be a big celebration for Ephraim. I thought it was called Black Hawk Days, but I could be wrong.
We'll get the advertisements up. We'll do 2 pages and we'll figure out what those look like and get them going. We did receive a call about, from a local business I won't name just because we don't want to screw up any kind of negotiations, but we do have an unsolicited request to look at city land for one of our local businesses to expand on, one of our very successful businesses. So we'll be looking into that in the next couple of weeks. Mayor signed the bond closing documents for your public hearing that you had at our last meeting for the water project, right? Brian, do I have that right? So those bond closing documents were signed today. Candace will be taking those to Richfield to deliver them in person rather than wait for FedEx or other services that may not be as reliable as Candace. So we'll be taking that on. One quick airport note, in addition to the fly-in, we've got some good feedback on the hoses and the fuel center. Everything is up and going, except we had one minor thing with some credit card processing, which will get fixed in the next couple of days. We did have a thing with RSI. This is a service that we've contracted with for a while that broadcasts the weather from the AWOS. And I know I'm using a lot of jargon, but it's the weather information. It broadcasts it to several different websites that pilots use. Apparently, we haven't paid our bill for a year. The invoices were going to an unused email address. And so they turned us off for non-payment, and we got a complaint from one of the pilots, and I called them up and I said, what's going on? And like, well, you haven't paid your bill. And I'm like, well, when did we last pay? And they said October. And I'm like, well, I haven't got an invoice since October to pay. So so we'll be going back and paying that in arrears.
Did they turn it on?
Yes, they did turn it back on for us because we reached out to them. But it's about $750 for the year that comes out of the airport. But just thought I'd let you know that we did have.
I'd like for you to contact all the major local television stations. And so that they can use that information to report Ephraim City weather.
Instead of Manti?
Yes.
Do we have a weather station out there?
Yes, that's what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's an official weather station.
Yeah, and I think they use that for their Manti
Well,
ones, and they name it Manti because it's the Manti.
I think they need to understand that Ephraim City is the largest city in San Pete. And they don't report Manti weather anymore. At least KSL has taken it off.
Really? On the KSL app, they have a whole Manti when I select my.
On the app,
Yeah.
they also have Ephraim.
But not on the.
Not on a regular broadcast, and I'd like for them to start including Ephraim City.
I will see what I can do to lobby on your behalf.
When Ted used to call into KSL a lot because he did
it every day.
Weather for KMTI, but he did it through the college.
I don't have the keys to that, but I will, I'll reach out and see what.
We also have a weather station at Snow College.
Not too much anymore.
Like in the science.
Different administrations change different things. I'm just gonna say that. I
Finally,
think it's in Ted Olson's backyard.
finally, just as a reminder, I'll be out the next 2 days for personal reasons.
Okay, I don't see that we have a reason for a closed session, do we, Ken? So looking for motion to end our city council meeting.
I move we adjourn the city council meeting.
Motion made by Councilmember Nordfeld, second by Councilmember Stevens. All in favor?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
So is it you guys have stopped